Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ghostly Quarters. So my next guest on my little meet and greet podcast kind of thing is the lovely Stephen Rudd, and obviously, like we've done before, we'll be talking to Stephen, obviously, getting to know a little bit about him and how he got into his craft, and if he has any tips and things like that for anyone. So, first of all, we want to welcome, obviously, Stephen to our little show here. Um, and I want you to introduce yourself, Stephen, and explain what you do and how you got into doing all the
Right,
wonderful things you do.
brilliant, no problem. Yeah, I've just been making a few notes because when I look back over the time now and from when we first sort of start to know that we could do this sort of thing, Mike. I look back now and I think, well, how much has been crammed into that space now, and it's like, and you just sort of blows your mind to think like how far we've come since then. Uh, I know you. I think you'd already been doing a little bit before, Michael, when I first came into it.
Yeah,
And I'm just finding me notes. Let's have a look. Because when I look back through my life, um, I didn't realise I'd actually been doing this a lot longer than when I actually realised it. Um, because I came into it quite by accident, really, because my partner Carol, she used to like all the things like Most Haunted and things like that, and I used to watch it because she was watching it. And then one time, Paul Mall he was doing mediumship nights where we'd get people like Donna Bellon and John Pattinson, people like that, over at Staten, just a little village just to the side of Middlesbrough. And so she said to me, "Oh, do you fancy coming along to these sort of events, these nights and things?" And it was a Friday night. I think it was every sort of couple of weeks, every month sometimes. And that was probably I think it was about 2018, something like that.
yeah, I think
Um,
it was about then. Yeah,
Might have even been 2017, I think. But yeah, so I went to quite a few of those, and I got a few messages myself. I think Anne Phoenix was there as well, and she gave me quite some good messages from my dad. And at that point, I didn't really know that much about that side of things. Um, and there was just messages in there that Anne just couldn't have known anything about because I didn't really know Anne at that point. Um, I just knew that she was a medium, and then the next thing, uh, Paul moved to do his things at Martin, and it was a community centre there. My nephew came along with me, and this is how I've sort of realised now over the time that the guides have been there all the time and working with other guides and things to try to get me into doing this. So my nephew was there, and trying to think who was on at the time. But anyway, Paul had said anybody can do this. We can all do it. We just don't all realize how to do it. And he said if anybody's interested, just put your name down at the front there, write it down on the list, and I'll be doing something fairly soon. So my nephew was with me, was like nudging me, saying, "Hey Steve, do you want to? Do you fancy having a go at this?" And I said, "Well, put my name down. If you want to go, I'll come with you. Put my name down." So the next thing he put our names down, and they ended up being a lesson in Darlington that John Pattinson had a place over in Darlington at the time, and
yeah.
it was there on a Sunday. So then I don't know how long you've got by the way, Mike, but it might be a
It's
long.
all right. We can be on here as long as you need.
But as you know, sometimes when I start, I can't stop. So so anyway, my nephew ended up getting a job, and he messaged me and he said, "Oh, Steve, I can't go to that now. I've got this job." I thought, "Oh, great, I'll put my name down. I'll have to go now." So
Mhm.
again, this is the way how the guys work, isn't it? and my friend Angie, Angie Bull, she said, "Oh, I'll come along with you." So we went along, and it just blew my mind again. You know, we went along to John's place, and Paul done this meditation, and he had a carrier bag, and he said, "Right, I want you to put something of yours in the carrier bag," and we all put something in, and we went around. We kept doing the meditation. He said, if you get anything while you're holding that, or sorry, I missed a bit out there. We had to pick one of the things out of the bag, which we didn't know whose it was or anything. So and we had to hold it to our heart while we're doing this meditation. And then as we were doing a meditation, we had to write down anything that came into our minds, and we just started to write these things down. All these things were coming into my head, like what was it? There was a house leading with some steps leading up to it. I'm just trying to think of that drink now, but it wasn't a common drink, just like a lager or a beer. It was a certain drink. What was it? I should have written this down, shouldn't I, really? Because it's that drink.
No, it's all right.
Never remember. But anyway, so then we had to go around one by one and read out the things that we got. So I read this list of things, and there was a young boy who'd been in an accident on the A19 and had been killed on the A19 by a truck. And when they started to read these things out, Paul would then say, whose is this? It was a ring that I had. And this lass put her hand up and said, that's mine. He said, any of those things mean anything to you? She said, yes, quite a few of them, because a nephew had been killed on the A19 and things like that. And also the drink that I mentioned, which I can't remember what it is now, but the drink that I mentioned, she said when she was first allowed into a pub with her mum and her dad, that was the first drink that they allowed her to have, that they bought it. So yeah, so I thought, where does all this come from? You know, but now I know where this come from. As after that, we had a few lessons, and then lockdown happened, so we couldn't go to any more lessons. But Paul had started doing the Zoom lessons, and I couldn't get on the first time in March, I think it was about 2019, and he started again in November, and I managed to get onto that one, and we did that for a couple of years, I think it was, and it all went really good.
Yeah, I think it was a good couple of years, wasn't it, when we were doing them?
Yeah.
And I remember when I came onto them, because obviously lockdown came, and I started training years before in the NSU churches. And obviously since lockdown came, we weren't allowed out, so I couldn't get to these churches. So when I used to care for a lady in the nursing home, her relative was like, "Oh, I didn't know you could do all this spooky stuff." I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a medium. I do this and I do that." She's like, "Get in touch with Paul and do some training with him." I was like, "Oh, I'll give it a go. I can't go anywhere, so there's nothing else for me to do. I'll get myself on." And that's when obviously I met likes of you, and to mention when you mentioned John Patterson, actually, he's just messaged me now. I don't know what it is because I don't really want to open it up just yet. But he's just messaged me now, so I'll hopefully get him on here one day as well. And obviously with that development class, we met a lot of lovely people. We meet up to do a retreat every year. Is it? I think Paul does it.
Yeah, well, he's done 2 this year now, so it's
we've done 2 this year.
Yeah, because I went to the one in was it about March, something like that? Might be in April, but he's got one coming up this month. So you know, I would think he'll probably do a similar thing next year. I would think. Yeah.
Hopefully, and hopefully Paul will be coming on one of these as well, so you'll be able to talk about them. And I know, Stephen, you do a couple of different things even there. I know one of them is an open circle, and I know you've got one online, and I know you've got one in Charlton's with a Joel. So when would be the next one coming up?
Well, we've got the
Zoom. Anyone that's listening.
The Zoom Open Circle is this it's the first Sunday of every month. So myself and Terry do that, Terry Crawley, and that's coming up on this Sunday. Is the open circle on Zoom? So that's on my page, Medium Stephen Rhodes, and you can catch the links on there. And the one at Charlton's, which is a physical open circle, that should be I'm just waiting to set the date for that. But usually, again, we tend to be around about the middle of the month or the third week in the month, which I believe I'm hoping that should be around about the 19th. So the Saturday, that'd be a Saturday night, and we usually start that at 7 o'clock.
Oh, so that'd be all right then for people that want to come to them. So for the people that are going to be listening, so that's going to be the first of the month on the Sundays, which will be coming up, won't it? And then the 19th will be one in person. So if anyone wants to go to them,
Yeah,
they're all open to go. Obviously, it's not just for mediums like us. It's for anyone that wants to go to receive them
that's it.
messages, or just to be a bit nosy and to see what's going on and to see what happens. And like I said, Terry was on here before a couple of videos ago, and she was like talking about all the stuff, all the not all the stuff, all the open circles you were doing and things like that. So it is a good way to get yourselves in and see what it's all about if you don't know what it is all about. And obviously, since it is the spooky season this month, why not go to one and see what it is about? I forgot what I was going to ask, Glenn. I read something up on Google earlier about Halloween and how it all started. So do you know how it did start? All the origins of Halloween?
How do I know?
Yeah.
I'm not so much into that side of it, really. The
No.
spooky side of it, really. More sort of the mediumship side. But I mean, I know people like the Mexicans and things like that like to sort of have the skeletons, don't they, of the
Yeah.
of the loved ones and things like that out. And to them, it's not a strange thing. It's just something that's their sort of tradition. But you might be able to tell us what the actual tradition of the Halloween one was, Mike.
Yeah. So what I read was, I can't remember if it was two BC or 1 BC. In them generations, people were afraid of like the spirits, the monsters, and the witches and things like that. So they would put like costumes, masks, and they would put the bonfires on to ward off all these monsters and witches and things like that. Because they thought these masks and bonfires would scare the spirits away. So I don't know if anyone else thinks that or still has that tradition. We would love to hear if you do still have them traditions. Because I know I don't. I put a bonfire out, but that's about it.
Well, I think a lot of the things that we're seeing now over here are probably more come from America, haven't they? Because when I think of when we were doing things like that, all we had was a turnip.
Turnip, yeah.
That was it. Turnip, cut it, couple of eyes, make a mouth, carve it out, put a can in it, bit of string around the top, and go carrying it around. And that
literally. I know when I was younger, we had obviously the turnip, but with our new generation, it's become more of a celebration and partying and getting yourself out there. But like you say, when we were younger, we used to go out and trick or treat and have the pumpkins and turnips, because that's what we did. We went out and embraced it. Not so much bringing it in and things like that, like they do these days, like with the parties and all that, which would be good. But hey, we'll get there, won't we?
Yeah. They've actually told me what that drink was. Actually, I've just got. I did come into my mind there. It was port and lemon was the drink, so that was it. So yeah,
well, there you go.
which is a bit sort of out the ordinary, isn't it? You know, you don't think about that. The other thing after that, what did we have there? The lesson started the Zoom lessons. Oh yeah, what then? I don't even remember. Teddy used to do Northern Lights at the time.
Yeah, she did.
With another lass called Angie, and I think Lindsay used to do it with him as well, and then eventually I joined Northern Lights. That was my first sort of thing that I started doing online, where people could see me online as a medium, and
Yeah,
then that sort of came to an end, and I started doing my own Facebook page, and that was 7th of April 22, and which seems like a long time ago now, you know, because now that we've reached 24, I didn't even think it was that long now, but the time goes that quick when you're having fun, I suppose. And I think
exactly.
if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. And the thing is, I love what I'm doing this, you know. I just love doing every part of it, and I love the reactions that you get from people, and I love the comfort that it gives people, and that's why I do it. Um, and I started supporting some charities when I to get my confidence up, which is a good way to do it. You know, I just thought, well, you know, I'll start off with a £5 reading for anybody who gives a £5 contribution, but it was a contribution to the charity, and then I was saying I would give them a read, like a free read for that £5 contribution, and I think that particular first one, I think raised 400 and something pound doing that. So, and the charity itself went over the £1,000, you know, because it was my friend who didn't really believe in all the mediumship side. But I messaged him and said, "Do you mind if I try and help raise some money with you?" And it was for
Yeah.
a girl in Billingham who'd had cancer about 3 times since she was 8, and she
Oh,
was fighting it a fourth time at the age of 16. And yeah, and it allowed her to go to concert and things with the family, which the family had spent most of that time going to hospital for chemo and things over those years, you know. So it was really good. That the second year, I started supporting my niece's charity, which she was doing at the time, and she was doing, I think they call it the midnight run or something like that, or midnight walk, and it's through Teesside Hospice, and it's to raise money for Teesside Hospice. But we've done that in memory of my other niece who passed away with breast cancer. So
yeah.
we did it for that, and raised another few £100 doing that, you know. So that was a good thing. And then we did the same thing this year as well, raising money for that, which was good.
Yeah, it was a
So
good thing though that you can use the gift you were born with essentially to
yeah,
raise that bit of money
mm, mm,
for anyone that does actually need it. So,
yeah,
like I say, it's a good thing that you have been doing with all the charities, and I
mm,
know you have raised quite a bit of money over the years you've done them.
mm,
Um, like I say, with the gift you were born with, for some you probably wouldn't have used anywhere,
mm,
or
mm,
probably would have used in the long run, instead of for your own game, like some mediums do. You were
yeah,
using it for the
yeah,
better and raising that money for
yeah, yeah,
someone's treatment or someone's whatever they needed,
mm,
and
mm,
making their life a little bit better.
yeah,
You raised awareness and you tried to get that money in there to help that person, even if it is just to go onto a concert
yeah,
or
yeah,
going to get that treatment they needed that they probably couldn't have got without that bit of money.
mm, mm,
So I do think it is a really good job and a
yeah,
really kind job on your behalf,
mm,
which not a lot of us can say
mm.
we did.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm lucky enough to also have another job, you know, which is my shall we say, can I say normal job, you know, but it's
Yeah,
I do that so I have 8:30 till 5:30 every weekday and every third Saturday, you know. So I do that as well, you know, and it's and that sort of that pays me bills, let's say. So it's it just allows me to be able to give as much as I can to the charity, really. And
Well, exactly. At least you
but
know with your, like you say, normal job, you can pay your bills, you can put food on your table, you
mm,
can do whatever you want with like work life. But with this side, you can charge that £5. You can charge that
mm,
little bit to
mm,
help
mm,
where needed. Like you say, with your charities and other little bits like that, you can like
mm,
start these things up and get them on the go. Or you can start your circles up
mm,
to
mm,
help develop other people or help other people understand what's happening.
mm,
Um, and going on about learning other people, for someone who is starting out on the mediumship side of life,
mm.
where what would you suggest someone do to start their mediumship?
Well, I think like myself, the open circles that sort of that we're doing, I think that's sort of a good step to get into it and get build your confidence, because when we're on the open circles, whether it be the Zoom one or the physical open circle that we do, there's nobody judges. We're all there to help each other. um and it's a bonus that somebody gets the messages as well. The open circle that we did, the first open circle that we just did in Charlton's last month, that went really well, but I'm I really believe in manifesting, and that's how I pictured it going in my mind. Pictured it going well, and it did. And we probably had about 6 people who were all mediums, but we had 6 people who would probably say yes, they can do some mediumship, and there was a few people there who weren't mediums, and they were all great messages that came through. And
Yeah,
everybody who was there, said, did you enjoy it? And everybody was enthusiastic about it, said that they enjoyed it. So the next thing was, would you like to come back and do it all again then? And every one of them said yes. So that's why this month we'll be doing it again. And also I think we'll have a few more there as well, because there's other people who were going to come to that but couldn't make it for whatever reason, holidays and things. So I think it can only grow bigger if we just stick at it. As long as
yeah,
there's enough people going, then we'll keep doing it, which will help the
that's
mediums.
the thing in it. You want the people going to get
Mm,
in the door to make it
yeah,
a successful open circle, and
mm,
for the people that want to go learn can have
yeah,
that space to learn.
yeah,
Like you say, you aren't there to judge. We all get stuff wrong. We
mm,
all think we aren't getting the messages right.
mm,
Um, and for us to be there for like you and for me, we can guide people along the way because we've had the experience.
mm,
Um, but for people just to get that one word out,
yeah,
that could mean the world to someone else. That's what
yeah,
I was always taught.
yeah,
Even that one word for start,
mm,
spirit know you will go to work then.
yeah,
Like I say, the word could be the most randomest thing you could ever imagine. It could be the word of candle,
yeah,
or it could be a duck.
yeah.
That one
Mm,
word might mean something to someone else.
that's it.
That's what I was
Definitely.
always taught.
Yeah. But going back to Charlton's, it's just sort of triggered something else for me there. That was the very first place where I actually did a night of mediumship as well, because when we were on the retreat and Anne was there, and Anne was running Charlton's, well, Anne was running the mediumship part of Charlton's there, and she was doing the nights on a Tuesday night, and she said to me while we were at um, the retreat, she said, "Why don't you come along and do a night there?" So I didn't hesitate, and even though it was my first night, I just said, something in me just said, you can do it. So I just said, yes, I'll do it. So then I was thinking to myself afterwards, because we all have these. This is the thing. It's about not having doubt, really. And now I've reached a point now where I just don't doubt it. I don't
Yeah,
doubt anything. I don't think about it even up until the point where I'm going. And then on that day, I think, oh, I'm off to Charlton's or whatever tonight. I'm going to here, and it's just amazing how it just flows now. I think even in the past, because you'll find you sort of go up in little stages, and at first you're sort of thinking about it all the time. You're thinking, oh, what if I don't get anything? What if I get this? What if I get that? And what if somebody says no? That type of thing. And now it just doesn't even enter my mind that now. And I think I've gone up that level now where it's like another level, you know, and
Yeah,
you're learning all the time, so it's a never ending thing. And
yeah,
this,
that's the thing, in it. Even though if someone like Paul Mall that has been doing it for 600 years, he's still learning. For someone who's been doing it for 1 hour, we
yeah,
could learn from them.
yeah,
We could learn from Paul, who's been doing it for 600 years. We could
yeah,
learn from the person that's been doing it for 1 hour. We all
yeah,
bring something completely
yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah,
And even though you think you don't get anything, Spirit will
mm,
always jump in and say, "Come on, get up and get it done.
yeah,
You've got it." And they'll always be there to say, "We've got this, we've got that, get up and
yeah,
do it."
yeah,
They'll always give you that little push. 'Cause I
mm,
know I get pushed an awful lot to get up and give messages off.
right,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and I don't know if that's the same with you, Stephen. If they give you a good like shove in the back to say, "Go on,
Mm,
get up
yeah,
there."
yeah, they're just sort of pushing you all the time, really, and the
Yeah,
to the point where if you don't get up and say it, it'll just keep with you all the time. So you've got to get it out, just to because somebody, like you say, it means the world to somebody what you're holding back, what you're not saying, and if you've got now to lose by just saying what comes to you, and
exactly.
you'll be
Like,
amazed at how much it actually means to somebody. You know, you haven't got a clue what it is, but to somebody else it means everything to them. And that's
exactly. I think we were going on about it before, where you might get one word, but if we sit and analyze what we're getting, we'll never get up. And it's not for us to understand; it's for that person we're giving it to understand.
mm,
Um, I did a reading before for someone. It was a mother and daughter. The daughter was upstairs and all that, and the mother was sat downstairs with me. So I was giving all this information off. I can't remember exactly what I give off, but I was telling her about someone smoking in the family. She was like, "No, no, 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 we're dead against smoking. We don't like smoking." I was like, "Fair dues, but I need to
right,
give you the smoking. Look for it." She was like, "No, I'm not taking it." I was like, "Fair dues. Remember, I'll give it to you."
yeah,
She went upstairs, daughter had a reading, and the mother came back downstairs and she was like, "I could take that smoking." I was
aye,
like, "Can you?" She was like,
mm,
"Yeah, my daughter smokes. I could smell it on her." I was like,
aye.
"Now you know why I didn't
Yeah,
want to take it back."
yeah,
I
yeah,
was like, "That's why I was so persistent to give you
yeah,
the smoking."
yeah, yeah,
She was like, "Yeah,
yeah,
I'm going to kill her when you go out." I'm like,
yeah,
"Please don't kill her." But
yeah,
she was like, "Yeah." But that's
yeah,
another thing where spirit will always give you stuff you can give off, and
mm,
that will fit,
mm, mm,
because they'll never let you down and they'll never fall back.
mm.
Um, Another little question I was going to ask is, before you give off a reading or before you go to these open circles, what is the routine you do to open up or to give these readings off?
So my routine is anybody who's had a reading off me, I'll do it with the sitter and myself, and I'll get us both to do it. But I do have certain things that we all have these sort of things, like certain things that we might wear or certain things that we might put on. And I haven't actually got it on at the moment, but I usually have a pendulum, and it was one that we got from the retreat. And I always say, right, when I put this pendulum on, I'm ready to work. So, and it's become that easy now, I think, because before I used to always have to think, right, I need to meditate, I need to quieten my mind, I need to do this, I need to then start to get. And we used to write down what we had before we even came on, like this open circles that Paul used to do on a Sunday that used to be, didn't it? And so we used to have a list where now we don't need the list as much because we just sort of trust it that much that we'll just let it come to us. But I put this pendulum on. I also usually wear this as well, which is sort of I think this is like my protection type of thing, and so I also have that. My sort of signature is is my black and white checky shirt, as you see on my Facebook page. So usually when I'm doing my open circle and I'm going to that, I've usually got my black and white checky shirt on as well. That's just
Yeah.
my thing, you know. And then when we get started, I'll just tell everybody to relax, and we'll sit back, we'll relax, sitting comfortably, and then I'll start the routine. I'll start the routine of you can close your eyes if you want to. Start doing the breathing exercises, and then listen to the sound of my voice, and I'll just start saying. I'll start saying just concentrate on your breathing, concentrate on my voice, and then there's a point where I'll ask spirit to come to us, and I'll be saying this out loud. I'll say just ask him to come closer and closer, and I missed a little bit out there because usually when you do it, I just do it without thinking. But when you think about it, it's hard to actually say it. But
Yeah.
I'd usually say start to feel like you have this sort of dim light building up inside you in your chest, and it starts to fill the whole of your chest, and then it starts to fill the whole of your body. Then it pushes out, and another light starts to merge with it. And this is spirit coming and merging with our spirits, because we're all spirit as well, aren't we? You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. We are. We're
we have
spirit in a human
our
form.
spirit and our yeah. So we get that to merge with ours, and then we just say, and now you can open your eyes when you're ready, and usually it does the trick. You know, I
Yeah.
don't think it's let us down yet, so it's something that I've always stuck to every time.
Well,
Yeah.
if it works for you, why
Mm.
not do it? Like, we
Yeah.
all have our own little ways to open up and close down. Mine's just as simple as unlocking a door. Like, I
Yeah.
imagine a doctor's surgery, so I'll
Um,
unlock the door, prop it open, turn the close sign to open,
oh yeah.
um, and I'll sit behind the desk, and that's me
Yeah.
open. And if I
Yeah.
want to close off, I'll
Yeah.
come behind the desk, close the sign, put the
Yeah.
sign to close again, and lock the door. And
Yeah.
I'll tell Spirit, I am closed now. I am not open to receive messages, and this is my time, so please don't come forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
as simple as that, as I do.
Yeah. When I close down, I'll just sort of do the reverse. I'll just bring that light in, and so that it
Yeah,
comes with dim light in the center of my chest till it disappears. You know, and that's my closing down part of it. But you just reminded us there when I was first starting about the switch and things, because I used to on the Sunday circles we used to do with Paul. I used to open the door, put a light switch on, and that was it open. Then I'd come back out, I'd switch the light off and shut the door, lock the door. Just like that sort of idea. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That was the same.
I will tell everyone though to make sure you do close down, just
Mm.
because um, you will drive yourself crazy.
Mm.
Um, and Spirit will always be there at you and at you and at you till a
Yeah.
point where you won't be able to take it no more.
Mm.
Just a little story about when I first started out. I never used to close myself down,
Mm.
um, and I ended up in hospital
All right.
because of not closing down.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I was shopping with my mum one day, and I had numbness in my fingers and my hands. It was like you know when you like cross your legs and you get like dead legs. It was like that, but in my hands.
Yeah.
Well, it was my left hand. Yeah, left. I had to think then, which was left and right. So I had like pins and needles and numbness in my hand. And I was
Right.
like, oh, this is a bit strange. I was like doing this with my hand, and it
Mm.
started going up in my arm. So I was like, oh, Mum, I don't feel right. I'm getting pins and needles. She's like, oh, we'll go shopping. It's probably just lengthen it for you or something. I was like, possibly. So we went round the shop. I was like, oh, it's getting worse, Mum. It's going up my arm now. She's like, oh, we'll quickly hurry up then. We'll go home. So I
Yeah.
was like lifting my mum's purse up for her to give to her. So
Yeah.
I picked it up, dropped it, picked it up again, fell
Yeah.
out my hands again. I was like, Mum, I can't see now. She's like,
Oh,
you are? I was like, I can't see. I don't know where I'm looking. She's like,
right.
right, quickly, we'll get home. By this point, I lost feeling in my arm, so I couldn't lift it up. It was like I was having a stroke, really.
Yeah.
So I went to A&E with my dad, Went into the room to see the doctor, had some bloods taken. 5 seconds before they were due back, I threw up and fell asleep. From that moment, I think it was 11 o'clock in the morning when I got there. From that moment on, I couldn't remember anything. I
Right.
didn't know my name. I didn't know where I worked. I didn't know where I lived. Literally, I didn't know nothing.
Right.
Um, the doctors thought I was on drugs. They thought I was an alcoholic.
Mm.
Um, and all in all, I developed epileptic migraines from not shutting down properly.
Right.
So I would suggest people do shut down
Mm.
because you don't want any health problems from it,
Yeah.
like I have.
Yeah. And just as you mentioned there about migraines, because that's one of the things that, that they've said, people have said in the past, and when you read about it, sometimes those sort of things, because you see auras and things, don't you? Your vision can go strange and things. And I started to get migraines probably, I don't know, maybe about, I don't get them so much now, but I did get them, and it's something that I think back now, and I think, was that something to do with what it's been leading up to now, where
Yeah,
and it was probably about, I don't know, it might have been 15 years ago or something like that. Getting back to when I started doing the mediumship a bit more, I started reading a few more books from mediums, because I feel that's a good thing as well. If you read mediums books, they tell their story, and you start to get a familiarity with it. You think, strange that, because I used to do that. I used to do that.
yeah,
And that's when I thought back to when I was 6 year old, when I first when my granddad had passed away, and they lived in a village called Trimden, which was a mining village. But my mum and my dad, they lived in Billingham, and I was about 6 year old, and my auntie came across from Trimden to tell me mum that my granddad had passed away, and I could hear them all crying, and I thought, what's the problem? As far as I was concerned, I was just thinking, well, he hasn't gone anywhere. He's still here. And so when I think back, that's my first ever thing that I can think of that was to do with spiritual things. Spiritual something that's happened that's like a spiritual experience.
yeah,
So yeah. So, and then obviously life gets in the way. Then you start to go to school, and you start to get you start to do the normal things that you do as teenagers, and then you go to the pubs and things like that. You meet somebody, you you buy houses, or you move out of your mum's house, and you go and buy somewhere else, and you get mortgages, and you get loans, and life gets in the way. Then you get your bills and things like that. And so I think in between that time, all that was happening for me to have a human experience. And then
yeah,
it was only then, because of lockdown, like we can say, well, this is what's come out of lockdown for me, which
uh,
it can be a bad thing for some people, which I sympathise with some of the things that have happened. But for me, that was how I probably became a medium, sat here today doing this.
yeah. That's the thing in it. When your life does get in the way,
Mm,
that's like you trying to live through stuff for when you do become a medium.
mm,
Um, you have that experience then to say, right, I've lived through some stuff, so the spirit that will come through are going to be the spirit that's lived through the stuff I've lived through.
mm,
That's because that's how we do get the messages. Obviously, if we live through certain things in life, like I don't know, if I've had a car accident, I'll get spirits that I've had car accidents.
yeah,
Obviously, because I'm a carer, I'll get a lot of
mm,
spirit that have been obviously carers or been in the care system.
mm,
And that's how we get the messages and things like that.
mm.
Um, and I want to ask if there's anything in the mediumship side that you like and dislike. Is there anything you like and dislike about
Mm.
working with the spirit world?
Uh, for me, I like a lot most of the things to do with mediumship and the spirit world. I suppose I don't like rules so much, which I think which modern mediumship has sort of changed over the years. Which it's I think with I know you did you say that you were with the the church at one point, Michael, and things, and and I've never really been to many of the church ones, but from what I've heard, it's more there's a few more rules and things there, which I'm not one for rules. Let's say I think a lot's lost because of that, you know, because I think you can sort of lose some of that sort of that communication, you know, between the sitter, the spirit, and ourselves, you know. So I'm not one for rules. I just like to say it as it is, and if a conversation goes on and I don't see a problem with sort of asking a question, even, you know, and things like that.
Yeah,
And some mediums might not ask any questions at all. You know, they like to just give the information without even the sitter saying anything back. It's just sort of saying, this is this is that, that's that, and that's the other, and end of story. You know, and I think a lot gets lost in there. You sort of lose. I think you lose a bit of uh, that feeling, you know,
yeah.
of, of what the spirit is actually feeling. Because I tend to get a lot of feelings, and I get how they're feeling, and I don't know about yourself, Michael, but that's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so when I started about 13 years ago, I started off with the NSNU churches where there is literally rules about everything. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to give it off like this, you have to give it off like that, you have to know who you're speaking to, and things like that. Where other open circles are literally more free flowing. Um, like I said, when I started out, I was literally, it got drilled into me of you have to know the person you're going to in the audience. You have to know who the spirit is, if it's a
Yeah.
male, female, grandmother, granddad. You have to get the name of that spirit as well, and you have to get it like spot on, and you have to get it
Yeah.
down to the T.
Yeah.
And you know, and the way I was trained, also, you weren't allowed to stand up until you got all the information.
Right.
And my memory is rubbish. So I like to stand up and say, right, I've got this and I've got that. I'll work with them now.
Yeah.
Because if I don't give that little bit of information off, I can't give the rest of it off because it hasn't come yet. So I like to give off a little bit, then do it.
Yeah.
So that's what I didn't like about the SNU church is you had to get all the information before I had to stand up. Which, like I said, my memory's rubbish. I'll forget my own name if I didn't already know it. Um, I can't remember what else I was going to say. I can't remember. It's gone. Like I say, I forget everything.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But
Um,
some of the things, I think the other thing as well is that, you know, when you're doing open circles and things, for me, it's a good lesson, because, like you said, there's a lot of rules inside the church ones, but for me, I think, you know, if you want to bring cards along, and you say the Zoom open circle, if you want to give somebody a card reading, give them a card reading. If you want to draw
yeah.
spirit art, which is the next thing I'll come into. But if you want to do that, do that. So come along to the open circle Sunday, which is tomorrow night, and if you want to do that, do that. If anybody's listening, and the same with Charlton's as well. Come along and do that. You know, that we can just do anything more or less to do with spiritual things, and it's a good way of learning. It's a good way of getting advice and building your confidence, because confidence, I think, is the main thing. You've just got to have that confidence to just give what you get without even
Exactly. That's
doubting
why
it.
we have these open circles for people to
Yeah.
come along and to see how other people work. So if they're not comfortable standing up at first, they can
Yeah.
see what goes on and how people are, so they can get a feel for it. Because they might come to Charlton's and think this one's not for me, so I'll go somewhere else. Um, and that's how you build up your confidence and
Mm.
work. Just before I go on to the spirit art, I'll for anyone interested in the paranormal side, we have got a couple of ghost hunts coming up. So go on there and have a little look, see where they are. I think they are all booked up at the moment, but keep an eye out for others. If there's anywhere you want to go or want to see us go, let us know and we'll look into going to these places. Most of them are going to be cheap to get to because we're trying to keep the price down for everyone. But we will either get it cheap or free if we can. I'll move on to the spirit art next because I know you just mentioned the spirit art there, and with spirit art, obviously I don't do it myself because I can't draw for a toffee. And I know spirit take over your hand, so that's a good way. But with the spirit art, it's a spirit's way of bringing either them through a picture or a way of them bringing through the information they want to give out. Is that right? If I say
Yeah,
that?
yeah. You know, when I first started doing this, it was in a lesson, and who came on at the time? I think who came on. But we were doing it in a lesson first with Paul brought somebody in like he did every so often. He brought in different people to try to teach us different things, and everybody might not have been interested in that, but it's a good thing to do is just try something. I know, Mike, you said there, Mike, that you couldn't draw for toffee, but it doesn't really matter, because you might just draw a load of squiggly lines, and somewhere in that you might get a picture out of it. You might start to see something form out of it. You might see some letters out of it, or writing, or initials, or something. For me, I like to draw portraits, though. I like to draw people's faces and things like that, which I was surprised when how these sort of images just ended up on the paper, and I didn't even think about what I was going to draw. I just put the pen to paper and it start happening, and then somebody could recognize who it was, things like that. Or somebody once gave me a picture of who it was, and it just looked like, there was it's not always exactly perfect like the picture, but there's
Yeah,
little things in there like the way that the hair might have a go in a certain way. I can't do that obviously with my hair, but the hair might go over to one side, or there might be a bit of a flick at one side, or something like that. There might be a, a scar on the face, or something, and it's picking out those little features that are the same. But also when you do that, you're also picking up information as well, and you're writing that at the side of it. And it's only something that I've just recently started doing, and I've had a few lessons. But it's something that I've always thought was going to be the future for me. It's going to be the thing that I'm going to start doing,
yeah,
because I've always been interested in art. Is the thing when I was younger. I always liked drawing portrait faces, and I always look at my life now, and I think everything that I've done in my life has led up to this moment now. From learning to draw, it was the best thing I could do at school. I wasn't too bad at some other things, but
mhm,
drawing was probably the only, at the time it was O levels, was the only O level that I had, and it was drawn. And then I started to draw pictures of bands that I liked, I liked Madness and things at the time. So all their images were on a single cover called My Girl, and I drew some of their faces, I drew some
uh,
things. And it got me used to drawing eyes and noses, and I think it all
yeah,
sort of leading up to now. And then my one time when I'd left home, and me and Carol had got a house and things, and my nephew said to me, "Oh, Matt, somebody who I know is doing a karaoke. They need somebody to come and help them set all the things up." I said that you might be able to help out. I said, "Oh, great!" I had another job,
yeah,
and so I ended up going to help somebody do the karaoke around Billingham, and it was just setting up all the equipment and plugging in all the wires and things like that. And one time she said to me, "Oh, why don't you ever go doing this day? Like doing the karaoke." And I said, "Oh yeah, all right then." So I started doing like an hour a night, and we used to do like a Tuesday night and a Saturday night. Well, I used to help then. She did it, she did it about 4 or 5 nights a week, and I started doing that, and I think that was to get my confidence up about talking to people, that type of
Yeah.
thing, and it really worked. And then eventually she said one time, "Oh, I can't make it. See, I've been in the hospital because she was getting out of breath, and they said they're not going to let me out because I need a triple bypass operation." So she said, "What am I going to do about the karaoke?" So I went, "Don't worry about it. I'll do it. I'll set it all up." Anyway, so I got my nephew who roped me into doing it. I roped him in to help me set it up, and I did the karaoke for 9 months, twice a week, as well as doing my normal job, let's say. And I think that now looking back was got me used to speaking to audiences like I do now with the mediumship side of
Yeah.
things, and it built my confidence up, and which when you look back now, there's all those things that have helped to get me where I am now to be able to
Well,
do this.
yes, what we have to do in it have like a life experiences to get us
Yeah, yeah,
that information from the spirit world, because spirit world will come to who they are drawn to.
yeah,
It's like having a big beacon of light. They'll come to that light and see if they are like a little match for them.
yeah, yeah,
Like I have all the little old dears at work. I'll get them little old dears coming to me like to the light and saying, "I'll have him. He knows what I'm on about."
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I always thought that would be with the spirit art as well. They'd be like, "Right, he's a good drawer. He can get me
Mm,
in a good light. He'll get me on the paper, right? That one."
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I would have thought that would have been for that as well. Um, and that's literally everything I've got um, to ask and to go through. So it's been lovely to have you on here, Stephen. If there's anything else you want to add to that?
Just a couple of things. We are on about the guides there, and the guides are with us. We, from what I learned when we went to the retreat, and Donna Bell did my reading, and she told me who my guide was. Said it was a Tibetan Buddhist monk who'd been with me from day one, and when again it goes back to sort of earlier in my life when we started to get houses and things, and I bought we always have Buddhist monk little statues and things, and little wooden
Yeah,
statues of them, and the little monks that you get, Buddhist monks that you get, the laughing Buddha. We have them all over. I have now, and I thought it was strange when that came through, because that's sort of rings true now, and that's the guy that's been with me all my life, and they will actually get you to do this if that's the thing that you're supposed to do, then they will get us to do this one way or the other. And as I've explained there, all the different ways how they've got me into doing this when I didn't think I wanted to do it at the time. But don't don't just think that if you ask that now, don't just think, oh well, I'm not as good as that. I'm not as good as this, because your guides, a bit like teachers, you wouldn't just learn to do long multiplication and things like that. You'd start off with doing addition and things like that, wouldn't you? And then you build
yeah,
up to long multiplication and all the complicated things to do with maths and things like that. So, and it's the same with the mediumship. They'll start off, and once they know that you're confident not doing this bit, they sort of push you up a level, and you feel like you're not getting something, but it's usually because you need pushing up to that next level to learn. So don't give up if you think, oh, it feels like I've gone backwards a bit. It's because they're pushing you to go a bit further forward. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and
With these spirit guides, you might not only have one, you might have a good couple of them with you as well,
yeah,
and they might change and swap over as well. So it might feel like you haven't seen a particular guide for a while.
mm,
Um, you might have just moved on, and you might have got someone else in to push you onto the next part.
yeah, yeah,
So they do swap and change every so often as well. So it might feel like if you're going through the mixer at times with them, it's just their way to like push you and get you going and to give you that little boost. Um, yeah,
And just
so that will give them.
and
Sorry,
just
Stephen.
one final thing as well, the dreams as well, because as you might remember, but dreams were a big part of my starting with the mediumship, and I think because I was so busy with the rest of my life at the time, when it used to come through my dreams, and I used to see, and eventually worked out that when I was in a dream and I didn't have a clue what it was about, I worked out that I was looking through the eyes of the spirit, and I just wake up and I'd write down, because you soon forget your dreams, so I just write
Yeah,
down. So write things down, and keep your book, and just write everything down, note it down, because you can go back to it then, as in
yeah.
you won't forget it. Yeah, but yeah. So, but I really enjoy doing the mediumship, and hopefully I keep going for a long time with it.
Hopefully, you'll go for a lot longer. Um, if not, we'll give each other a little push, and we'll make sure
Yeah.
we do go for a little bit longer, even if you have to grab you by. Well, I can't even grab you by your hair to drag you along, because you got none. I'll actually drag you by your shirt and say, "Come on, Stephen, we've got this. We'll keep going together."
Okay.
And we'll drag all the newbies coming along as well. So I want to say thank you for coming along this
Thanks for having
evening.
me up. I
And
really
sorry it's
enjoyed it.
been a bit of a dark one for me. I've literally got my salt lamp. Where is it?
Oh,
Got my salt lamp there
there's
for
been a
light.
lot of things swirling around. Yeah, have you got something on that makes swirly lights or something as well?
I've got, oh, it's a bit warm. This candle as well.
I don't know. There was just a lot of lights swirling around you and things at certain times. When you look
Oh,
back through it, you'll see.
yeah. Hello, look. If anyone else can see anything swirling around, let us know in the comments or whenever. So I'm gonna press end on record now, so we can stop recording. Oh, end.